The desert highway stretched endlessly, the sun blazing overhead, and the silence broken only by the hum of Tesla's Cybertruck gliding smoothly across the asphalt. Inside, Elon Musk sat calmly, one hand on the wheel, the other scrolling through a playlist on the dashboard's touchscreen. This was his rare moment of solitude, a break from boardrooms and innovation labs. Ahead, a faint roar grew louder, cutting through the stillness of the desert. Elon glanced up, his sharp eyes narrowing at the sight of a gang of bikers parked across the road. Their motorcycles glinted in the sunlight, arranged in a makeshift blockade. As Elon slowed to a stop, the bikers turned their attention toward him. Grizz, their burly leader, stepped forward, his boots kicking up dust. Well, he said, his voice carrying over the desert breeze. If it isn't Mr. Save the Planet himself. The group laughed, their voices rough and mocking. Sparks, the wiry one, leaned against his bike, smirking. Nice ride, Musk. Does it come with a hairdryer for all that sand out here? Elon rolled down the window, his expression calm but observant. Blocking a public road? Bold choice. Especially out here. Grizz chuckled, ignoring the comment. Quiet little machine you've got there. But it can't handle a real challenge. What happens if it gets a little rough? The tension was thick, the clash of personalities as sharp as the desert heat. But just as Elon opened his mouth to respond, a dark cloud appeared on the horizon, its ominous swirl unmistakable. A sandstorm was coming. The clash. Elon versus the bikers. The sun beat down mercilessly as Elon stepped out of the Cybertruck, the faint hum of its electric motor fading into silence. He adjusted his sunglasses and took in the scene before him. Dusty motorcycles, burly bikers, and their smug smirks. Grizz, the leader, stood at the center of the group, his arms crossed. You must be lost, Musk. Roads like this aren't meant for quiet toys like yours. Elon raised an eyebrow. I wasn't aware highways were exclusive to fossil fuel enthusiasts. The bikers laughed, their voices echoing across the desert. Sparks, leaning casually against his bike, grinned. He's got jokes. But jokes won't get you out of here. Let's see what that electric box can really do. Another biker chimed in. Does it even have enough juice to make it through the desert? Or does it shut down if the Wi-Fi goes out? Elon remained unfazed, his calm demeanor only fueling their mockery. It's fascinating, he said, his voice steady. You're so quick to judge something you clearly know nothing about. Typical behavior for people afraid of change. The laughter stopped abruptly, Grizz's smirk fading. He took a step forward, his boots crunching on the gravel. Afraid? Of what? Your glorified golf cart? Please. Elon tilted his head slightly, the hint of a smile playing on his lips. Afraid of being left behind. Technology doesn't wait for anyone. The tension thickened, and the bikers exchanged uneasy glances. Sparks broke the silence with a laugh, though it sounded forced. Big talk for someone stuck in the middle of nowhere. Just as the situation seemed ready to escalate, the wind picked up, carrying with it a low, ominous howl. Elon glanced toward the horizon, where the dark cloud of the sandstorm loomed closer. The bikers turned toward the horizon, their laughter fading as the swirling sandstorm crept closer. The wind carried tiny grains of sand, stinging their faces as the air grew heavier. Grizz brushed off the growing unease and gestured toward Elon's Cybertruck. All right, Musk, since you're all about innovation, how about a little test? Let's see if your tech toy can handle a real challenge. Elon glanced at the advancing storm, then back at Grizz. You're proposing a challenge while a sandstorm is brewing? Interesting timing. Sparks snickered, revving his motorcycle. What's wrong? Afraid your precious battery can't take the heat? Elon adjusted his sunglasses, unfazed. Afraid isn't the word I'd use. Let's just say I have a healthy respect for nature's unpredictability, something you should consider. Grizz crossed his arms, his smirk unwavering. Here's the deal, Musk. We ride ahead, and you keep up. Let's see if your quiet little truck can handle the desert like a real machine. Elon's calm demeanor sharpened slightly. Riding into a storm isn't bravery, it's recklessness. But if you're determined to see what the Cybertruck can do, I'm happy to oblige, provided you're prepared for the consequences. The bikers exchanged glances, their competitive spirit outweighing their caution. You're on, Sparks said, his grin widening. The group mounted their motorcycles, engines roaring, as they prepared to race ahead. The sound was deafening against the eerie stillness of the desert. Elon stepped back into the Cybertruck, its systems coming to life with a faint hum. He tapped the console, activating the autopilot and weather sensors. "All right," he murmured to himself. "Let's see how far tradition can take them." As the bikers sped off, the sandstorm loomed larger, its swirling winds ready to swallow the highway whole. The roar of the motorcycles echoed across the desert as the bikers sped ahead, their engines straining against the rising winds. The sandstorm loomed closer, a wall of swirling grit and dust that seemed to devour the horizon. Inside the Cybertruck, Elon monitored the situation through the advanced dashboard. The weather sensors displayed real-time data, wind speeds climbing rapidly, visibility dropping to dangerous levels. He tapped a control, activating the vehicle's sandstorm mode, and the air filtration system whirred to life. The bikers, meanwhile, were struggling. Sparks shouted over the wind, his voice barely audible. "This storm's coming in faster than we thought, Grizz." Grizz gritted his teeth, squinting against the flying sand. "Keep going. We'll find a way through." But the storm had other plans. The wind howled like a beast, pushing against their bikes and reducing their visibility to near zero. Sand pelted their helmets and exposed skin, forcing them to slow down. Sparks swerved suddenly, barely avoiding a patch of loose gravel. Elon's voice crackled through the loudspeaker of the Cybertruck, cutting through the chaos. "You're heading straight into the storm's path. You need to turn back." Grizz growled, glancing over his shoulder at the Cybertruck trailing behind. "We don't need your tech to handle a bit of sand, Musk." Elon's calm reply followed. "This isn't about pride. It's about survival. Your bikes can't navigate what's coming." As the storm's leading edge engulfed the bikers, it became clear Elon was right. The roaring wind and stinging sand overwhelmed them, forcing the group to stop. Grizz dismounted, his expression grim. "All right, Musk. If you've got a plan, now's the time to share it." The Cybertruck rolled to a halt beside them, its lights cutting through the storm. Elon stepped out, his voice steady. "Follow my lead if you want to get out of this alive." The bikers huddled near their motorcycles, the howling wind and relentless sand forcing them to shield their faces. Sparks coughed, his voice muffled. "All right, Musk. You've got our attention. What's the plan?" Elon gestured toward the Cybertruck, its headlights piercing through the storm. The Cybertruck is equipped with advanced navigation and all-terrain capabilities. Its autopilot can guide us to safety, but I need you to follow closely. Grizz narrowed his eyes, sand sticking to his rugged face. "You're saying your fancy truck is going to save us? What happens if it shuts down halfway?" Elon's calm gaze didn't waver. "It won't. The Cybertruck was built for extreme conditions like this. But your bikes aren't. If you push ahead without a guide, you won't make it far." The bikers exchanged uneasy glances. Tank, usually quiet, finally spoke up. "We don't have much of a choice, Grizz. This storm's getting worse, and I'd rather bet on Musk's tech than be buried in sand." Grizz exhaled sharply, his pride clearly battling with his instincts. Finally, he nodded. "Fine. We'll follow you. But if this goes south, it's on you, Musk." Elon gave a faint smile. "Fair enough. Let's move quickly." He climbed back into the Cybertruck and tapped the console, activating the autopilot and terrain scanner. The vehicle adjusted its suspension and optimized its pathfinding for the shifting sands. Through the loudspeaker, Elon directed the bikers. "Ride in a staggered formation behind me. Keep close enough to see the lights, but far enough to avoid sudden stops. And whatever you do, don't veer off." As the convoy set off, the Cybertruck led the way, its powerful systems slicing through the storm with precision. The bikers followed closely, their earlier mockery replaced with quiet determination. For the first time, tradition and innovation were working together against the forces of nature. The sandstorm strikes, a fight for survival. The Cybertruck's headlights cut through the swirling wall of sand, illuminating the path ahead like a beacon. Inside, Elon monitored the dashboard, the vehicle's systems working overtime to navigate the shifting terrain. The autopilot displayed real-time adjustments, plotting the safest course through the storm. Behind the truck, the bikers struggled to keep pace. Grizz shouted over the roaring wind, Stick close. Don't lose sight of the truck. Sparks, riding second in line, yelled back, easier said than done. This wind's like riding through a brick wall. Tank, bringing up the rear, muttered to himself, this is insane. How are we even moving in this? The Cybertruck slowed slightly, allowing the bikers to close the gap. Through the loudspeaker, Elon's voice rang out, steady and reassuring. The path is clear for now, but the storm is intensifying. Stay tight and stay focused. The wind howled like a living thing, whipping sand across the highway in relentless waves. Visibility was almost zero, and the ground beneath the bikers' tires shifted unpredictably, threatening to throw them off balance. Grizz cursed under his breath, gripping the handlebars tightly. All right, Musk, if you're going to lead us through this, you better deliver. Elon, inside the Cybertruck, glanced at the terrain scanner. A large dune loomed ahead, its unstable sands a potential trap. He tapped a command into the console, rerouting the convoy around it. Through the loudspeaker, he directed, shift to the left. There's unstable ground ahead. Follow the lights exactly. Grizz swerved, following Elon's instructions, and the others quickly adjusted. The Cybertruck's tires gripped the sand effortlessly, its design proving why it was built for challenges like this. As they pressed on, the storm roared louder, the desert itself seeming to test their resolve. The convoy trudged forward through the storm, the Cybertruck's unwavering guidance, the only thing keeping the group on track. The bikers' earlier bravado was now replaced with a grim focus as the relentless wind and shifting sands tested their endurance. Sparks, riding just behind Grizz, suddenly shouted, "Watch out!" Ahead, a jagged outcrop of rocks jutted from the sand, half buried but dangerously close to their path. Inside the Cybertruck, Elon's terrain scanner had already detected the hazard. The dashboard flashed a warning, and the autopilot adjusted instantly. Elon's voice came through the loudspeaker, calm but firm. Obstacle ahead. Adjust right by 20 degrees. Follow my lead. Grizz shouted back to the group. You heard him. Stay tight and move. The Cybertruck veered gracefully to the right, its reinforced tires adapting seamlessly to the uneven ground. Grizz followed, his bike wobbling slightly but recovering. Sparks wasn't as lucky. His rear tire hit a patch of loose sand, sending him skidding dangerously close to the rocks. Tank, riding behind Sparks, reacted quickly. I've got you, he yelled, steering his bike to stabilize Sparks with a well-timed nudge. Sparks regained control, his breath ragged. Thanks, man. That was close. Elon monitored the incident through the rear cameras, his voice cutting through the commotion. Keep a wider gap between bikes. The terrain is unstable, and reaction time is critical. The bikers adjusted, falling into a staggered formation that allowed for more maneuverability. The Cybertruck led them safely past the rocky outcrop, the hazard fading into the swirling sands behind them. Grizz glanced toward the truck, his earlier skepticism starting to waver. All right, Musk, you got some tricks up your sleeve. Let's see if you can keep this up. But the storm wasn't done with him yet. The howling winds intensified, drowning out even the rumble of the bikers' engines. Sand swirled in every direction, creating an oppressive curtain that obscured the horizon. Grizz squinted ahead, barely able to make out the Cybertruck's faint red taillights. We're losing sight of him, Sparks shouted, his voice nearly swallowed by the storm. Inside the Cybertruck, Elon noticed the formation breaking apart. The dashboard displayed warnings about reduced visibility and unstable terrain. He tapped the console, activating a beacon feature. Bright, synchronized lights pulsed from the Cybertruck, cutting through the storm like a lighthouse guiding a ship. The loudspeaker crackled to life. Regroup immediately. Follow the beacon. Do not veer off. Grizz barked orders to his crew. Get back in line. Sparks, stick to my left. Tank, cover the rear. The bikers struggled to close the gap, the shifting sands beneath their tires making every movement a challenge. Sparks nearly lost control again, but managed to stabilize, muttering under his breath, "This storm's trying to bury us alive." Tank, bringing up the rear, noticed something alarming. "Grizz, I think we lost one of the guys." Grizz swore loudly, scanning the swirling sands for any sign of their missing rider. Elon's voice cut in, steady but urgent. The tracker shows one bike has fallen behind. Stay with the truck. I'll circle back. The Cybertruck came to a halt, its autopilot already calculating the safest route to locate the lost rider. Elon manually steered the vehicle, its powerful tires digging into the sand as he turned around. Moments later, he spotted the stranded biker, slumped over his stalled motorcycle. Elon pulled up beside him, the Cybertruck's bright lights illuminating the scene. Rolling down the window, he called out, "Get in. There's no time to waste." As the rider climbed into the Cybertruck's cabin, Elon turned the truck around to rejoin the group. The storm roared louder, as if determined to challenge them at every step. The Cybertruck rejoined the group, its beacon lights cutting through the dense storm. The rescued biker sat in the passenger seat, shaking off sand and catching his breath. "I thought I was done for," he admitted, his voice trembling. "Thanks, Musk." Elon gave a brief nod. "The storm's getting worse. We need to keep moving." Grizz pulled up beside the Cybertruck, his expression grim. "This storm's not letting up, and we're burning daylight. How much farther to shelter?" Elon glanced at the dashboard, which displayed a safe zone 2 miles ahead. "There's a ridge up ahead that will shield us from the worst of it. But we'll need to pick up the pace before the winds make it impassable." Grizz frowned. "Faster means riskier. The terrain's already throwing us around." Tank rode up, his deep voice cutting in. "It's either that or we stay out here and get swallowed whole. I say we trust Musk and go for it." Elon's voice came through the loudspeaker. "Agreed. But we'll need to tighten formation and use the Cybertruck as a windbreak. Ride directly behind me, and don't fall back." Grizz hesitated, his pride battling with the reality of the situation. Finally, he nodded. "All right, Musk. Lead the way." The convoy adjusted their positions, with the Cybertruck moving to the front and the bikers trailing closely behind. The truck's reinforced body absorbed the brunt of the wind, creating a narrow pocket of relative calm for the riders. The storm fought back, the wind howling louder as the sand lashed against the vehicles. Sparks shouted, "This better work, or we're toast." Inside the Cybertruck, Elon's focus never wavered. His hands gripped the wheel as he guided the convoy through treacherous terrain, the ridge growing closer with each passing second. The storm was relentless, but so was their resolve. The convoy pushed forward, the Cybertruck's beacon lights guiding the bikers like a lifeline in the chaos. Sand battered the vehicles mercilessly, piling in drifts that threatened to block the way. Elon kept his gaze fixed on the dashboard, monitoring the terrain scanner as it mapped out their path in real time. Inside the Cybertruck, the rescued biker clung to the armrest. "You sure this thing can handle it?" Elon glanced at him briefly, his voice calm. "It's designed to adapt. Trust the process." Behind the Cybertruck, the bikers fought to maintain their positions. Grizz shouted over the wind, "Stay tight. Don't let up now." Sparks, visibly struggling, gritted his teeth. "We're so close. I can see the ridge." The terrain grew more treacherous as they neared the shelter. A massive dune loomed ahead, its crest unstable and threatening to collapse under the wind's pressure. Elon tapped the console, issuing a warning through the loudspeaker. "Slow down. We're crossing the dune one at a time. Follow my tracks exactly." The Cybertruck climbed the dune with ease, its all-terrain suspension adjusting to the shifting sands. As it reached the crest, Elon guided the truck down the other side, carving a stable path for the bikers. Grizz led his crew up the slope, their tires slipping, but holding steady in the Cybertruck's tracks. One by one, they descended safely, the ridge's rocky base finally coming into view. As the group reached the shelter, the storm roared fiercely, but the ridge shielded them from the worst of it. The bikers dismounted, their faces a mix of exhaustion and relief. Sparks dropped to the ground, laughing breathlessly. "I can't believe we made it." Grizz turned to Elon, his voice rough but sincere. "I'll admit it, Musk. That truck of yours? It's the real deal." Elon stepped out of the Cybertruck, surveying the group. "The storm's not over yet, but you're safe here. The Cybertruck did its job, just like I said it would." The bikers nodded, their earlier skepticism replaced by genuine respect. For the first time, tradition and technology stood united against the forces of nature. The collaboration, working together. The ridge offered temporary relief, But the sandstorm continued to howl like a wild beast, its fury unrelenting. The bikers huddled near their motorcycles, brushing off layers of sand and catching their breath. Sparks adjusted his helmet, glancing nervously at the swirling storm beyond their shelter. "So, Musk, what's the plan now?" "Sit tight and hope this thing blows over." Elon, standing beside the Cybertruck, checked the weather sensors on the dashboard. "The storm will last for at least another hour, but this ridge gives us a window to regroup and prepare. If it intensifies, we'll need to act fast." Grizz crossed his arms, still skeptical, but more open to Elon's expertise. "And what if it does? What's the next move?" Elon gestured to the Cybertruck's rear compartment. "The Cybertruck has emergency supplies, water, first aid, and portable power units. We can set up a temporary base here and secure the bikes against the wind." Tank nodded, stepping forward. "Makes sense. Better than standing around, waiting to get buried." The bikers reluctantly began unloading their gear, following Elon's instructions. Sparks struggled to secure his motorcycle against a rocky outcrop, muttering, "This is the weirdest day of my life. Teaming up with Musk to survive a storm? Never thought I'd see it." Grizz barked orders to the group, his natural leadership shining through. "Sparks, focus on anchoring the bikes. Tank, grab the supplies from the truck. Let's move." Elon handed out portable power units and emergency lights from the Cybertruck storage. "These will keep the area lit and provide a stable power source. Use them wisely." As the group worked together, the earlier tension faded, replaced by a shared determination. For the first time, the bikers and Elon found themselves united, not by choice, but by necessity. The ridge offered enough shelter to steady the group, but the storm's relentless howling reminded them of the dangers still lurking outside their temporary base. Sparks finished securing his bike, wiping sand from his goggles. "You know," he said, his voice tinged with grudging respect, "I didn't think this truck of yours would hold up. Guess I was wrong." Elon, busy setting up a portable beacon to monitor the storm, glanced over. "It's not just the truck, it's the preparation behind it. Innovation is about anticipating challenges before they happen." Grizz, overhearing, snorted lightly. "Yeah, well, bikers don't exactly have autopilot for life's problems. We figure things out as we go." Elon straightened, meeting Grizz's gaze. "Figuring it out on the fly is important, but so is having the right tools. Today's a good example. Your instincts got you this far, but technology helped you go the rest of the way." Grizz folded his arms, considering Elon's words. Before he could reply, Tank called out, "Beacon's up and running. That thing's bright enough to signal Mars, Musk." Elon smirked faintly. "Good. If the storm gets worse, it'll help us track any stragglers, or attract rescuers if it comes to that." The bikers gathered around as Elon demonstrated how the beacon fed real-time data back to the Cybertruck systems. Sparks peered at the glowing interface, his skepticism giving way to curiosity. "This thing really does it all, doesn't it?" "It does what it's designed to do," Elon replied. "But it's only as effective as the people using it. The key is adaptability, something I've seen you're capable of." The bikers exchanged glances, their earlier doubts replaced with quiet respect. Slowly but surely, they were beginning to trust not just the technology, but Elon's leadership as well. As the group settled into their makeshift base, the storm's intensity began to fluctuate, its howls occasionally giving way to eerie silences. Sparks looked out at the swirling sands beyond the ridge, his nerves evident. "Is it just me, or does it feel like the storm's playing tricks on us?" Elon, reviewing the data from the Cybertruck sensors, nodded. "The eye of the storm might be passing over. It'll calm for a while, but the worst is usually on the other side. We'll need to stay sharp." Grizz stepped up, his tone gruff but more cooperative than before. "All right, Musk. What do we do if it hits again? This little ridge won't hold forever." Elon pointed to the Cybertruck's energy reserves displayed on the dashboard. "We still have enough power for a full charge of your devices, but the key is conserving energy. If the storm intensifies, we'll need to hunker down and ride it out." Tank, examining one of the portable power units, spoke up. "This tech's impressive. Feels like it could run a small town." Elon smirked faintly. "It's meant to. The Cybertruck's design isn't just for survival, it's for resilience. But tools are only as effective as the people using them. Grizz rubbed his chin, finally acknowledging the truth of Elon's words. All right, Musk, I'll bite. You've got us this far. Tell us what you need us to do next. Elon paused, looking around at the group. Stay alert. If the storm worsens, we'll need to act quickly to avoid losing ground. Keep the bike secure, monitor the beacon, and prepare to move if necessary. The bikers nodded, their earlier skepticism replaced by a sense of camaraderie. For the first time, they weren't just a group of bikers and a tech mogul. They were a team, working together to survive. The sandstorm's howls surged once again, a reminder that their shelter was only temporary. Grizz tightened the ropes, securing his bike to a rocky outcrop, glancing back at Elon. All right, Musk, you've impressed us so far, but how are we supposed to move if this storm gets worse? Elon tapped the Cybertruck's dashboard, bringing up a map overlay that showed their location and potential escape routes. If the storm intensifies, there's a canyon half a mile west. Its walls should provide more permanent cover, but it'll be tricky getting there in these conditions. Sparks groaned. Half a mile in this mess? Might as well be a marathon. Tank, ever practical, chimed in. It's better than staying here and getting buried. We got the truck. Let's use it. Elon nodded, his calm demeanor giving the group confidence. The Cybertruck can lead the way again, but the terrain is rougher near the canyon. Your bikes might struggle. We'll need to work together to make it through. Grizz took charge, his leadership instincts kicking in. All right, Sparks, Tank, double-check everything. Make sure the bikes are secure and the gears tight. No room for mistakes. As the group prepared to move, Elon handed out additional protective gear from the Cybertruck storage. These goggles and masks will help with visibility and breathing. Stick close to the truck and follow my lead. Sparks adjusted his new gear, muttering, Didn't think I'd be taking survival tips from Musk, but here we are. Elon smirked lightly. Innovation isn't just about the tools. It's about the people who use them. Let's make it count. The bikers mounted their motorcycles, the Cybertruck's beacon lights flashing to signal the start. Together, they began their careful journey toward the canyon, each member of the group playing a critical role in their survival. Resolution and takeaways. The convoy crawled forward, the Cybertruck carving a path through the storm as the bikers followed closely behind. The canyon walls loomed ahead, a welcome sight against the endless sea of swirling sand. The wind's fury lessened slightly as they entered the narrow passage, the high cliffs shielding them from the worst of the storm. Grizz dismounted first, his boots crunching on the gravel. He surveyed the natural shelter, nodding in approval. Well, Musk, I didn't think we'd make it, but here we are. Guess that truck of yours isn't just for show. Sparks parked his bike nearby, pulling off his goggles and coughing out a laugh. Yeah, I'll admit it. I underestimated you. That thing handled the storm better than we did. Elon stepped out of the Cybertruck, brushing sand from his jacket. His voice was calm, but carried a sense of quiet triumph. It's not just the truck. You all adapted when it mattered most. That's what got us through. Tank leaned against his bike, nodding in agreement. You got a point. If we kept trying to do this our way, we'd still be out there fighting the wind. Grizz turned to his crew, his tone serious, but not harsh. All right, let's face it. We learned something today. Maybe it's time we stop knocking what we don't understand. The group exchanged glances, their earlier bravado replaced with genuine respect. For each other, for Elon, and for the technology that had saved them. Elon gestured toward the Cybertruck. This isn't just about machines. It's about using what we have to make better decisions. The storm tested all of us, and we came out stronger for it. The bikers nodded, their shared experience forging a bond they hadn't anticipated. As the group settled into the safety of the canyon, the bikers began to reflect on the journey they'd just endured. Sparks leaned against a rock, wiping sand off his helmet. You know, Grizz, I never thought I'd say this, but maybe we've been stuck in the past too long. That truck didn't just save our hides. It showed us what's possible when you think ahead. Grizz smirked, though his usual swagger was replaced with something more thoughtful. Yeah, well, thinking ahead isn't exactly our strong suit. But Musk here? He's got a point. You can't fight progress forever. Elon, seated on the edge of the Cybertruck's tailgate, looked up from the console. Progress isn't about leaving the past behind. It's about building on it. Your bikes, your instincts, your resilience, all of that helped us get here. Technology just gave us an edge when we needed it most. Tank nodded, his deep voice steady. It's like the road, right? You can't just ride in a straight line forever. Sometimes you've got to turn, take a detour, or even stop and rethink your route. Sparks chuckled. You're getting philosophical on us, Tank. Next, you'll be asking Musk to upgrade your bike with autopilot. Elon smiled. That's not as crazy as it sounds. Imagine a bike that enhances your ride, makes it safer, and gives you more freedom to explore. The bikers exchanged glances, their skepticism fading further. Grizz crossed his arms, his tone half joking, but with a hint of sincerity. Careful, Musk. You're starting to make sense. Elon leaned back, his expression calm. Sometimes all it takes is one experience to see things differently. The road ahead is yours. You just have to decide how you want to travel it. The bikers nodded, their shared respect for Elon and his vision now undeniable. The bikers gathered their gear, the storm finally receding as the desert sky began to clear. The once intimidating sandstorm now seemed like a distant memory, replaced by the calm after a hard-earned victory. Grizz approached Elon, extending his hand. All right, Musk. You've earned more than a little respect from us today. That truck of yours didn't just survive, it thrived. And I got to admit, you kept us alive out there. Elon shook his hand firmly. Respect goes both ways. You trusted me when it mattered. And that's what got us here. Sparks, always quick with a quip, smirked. So, what's next, Elon? You gonna build a Tesla motorcycle to give us a run for our money? Elon raised an eyebrow, a faint smile tugging at his lips. You never know. Maybe one day you'll test one out for me. The group laughed, the camaraderie between them now genuine. Tank clapped Sparks on the shoulder. Better start practicing, Sparks. If Musk builds a bike like that truck, you'll need all the help you can get. The rescued biker, still shaken but recovering, chimed in. This whole thing was a wake-up call. We can't keep riding like the world hasn't changed. Must prove there's a better way. Elon nodded, his tone thoughtful. Technology isn't about replacing the past. It's about enhancing the future. The road is still yours. But with the right tools, it can be safer, smarter, and more exciting than ever. As the bikers mounted their motorcycles, the shared experience had left its mark. They no longer saw Elon as just a tech mogul, but as someone who understood their world and showed them a glimpse of what it could become. With a final nod to Elon, Grizz started his bike. See you down the road, Musk. Maybe next time, we'll bring the storm to you. Elon smiled, watching them ride off into the desert horizon. The storm had tested them, but it also brought clarity. The future is a journey best taken together. And so, what began as a clash on a desert highway turned into a story of survival, trust, and transformation. Elon Musk and the bikers discovered that progress and tradition don't have to be at odds. They can work together to overcome even the fiercest challenges. This journey reminded us all that embracing change isn't about abandoning the past. It's about building a better future. Whether it's technology or teamwork, the road ahead is always brighter when we move forward together. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more inspiring stories. See you in the next adventure.